Chapter 71. I, the one who had sprouted. I, the one who had sprouted. They fed with all their might, their prided leg strength, trained for the sole purpose of slaying monsters, was used solely to get away from that spot at that moment. Something unbelievable has happened right in front of their very eyes, and that was what their brain commanded instinctively. Thus, they must flee this place immediately at all costs. As if it were a demon lord, the moment that monster noticed the presence of the living, all the men simultaneously fled for the sake of their own survival. Those who survived simultaneously sprang into action. They calculated that this will raise their chances of survival even by a little. That's what the men thought. They haven't heard that such a monster was here. The instant the lights sparked, thousands of soldiers died. Even those who had built resistance against fear couldn't help but panic. Their hearts haven't shattered solely due to the fear towards their owner, Sakaguchi Hinata, whom they served. Hinata hated them, but even if they were treated like worms, this will only make them feel gratitude instead of anger. This was something obvious. It's because they were attracted by her overwhelming cold-heartedness and her strength that they pledged loyalty to her out of fear. They are strong individuals themselves, and in terms of battle prowess, they can rival even a holy knight. However, even in a group, they are no match for Hinata. This had created absolute horror within them. They can possibly think of any dissatisfaction. Unbeknownst to them, however, this fear served to be in their favor, as it was thanks to this that they were able to survive. The reason being that the moment their hearts shattered due to fear, they would be as good as dead. Their desire to inform Hinata about this has desperately spurred their feet into action. They believed that if it's Hinata, she can beat that monster. However, the hopes of those men are going to be shattered, because in the eyes of their pursuers, they are not but simple prey. All for the sake of being recognized. Pathetic prey kept alive for the sake of recognition. Without a sound, the devil gave chase to the prey. A hunt after such a long time. It'll be my loss if I don't have fun. A superb feast was given late earlier. I am very satisfied. This hunt will serve as an excellent after-meal exercise. Kufufufu, this is great, isn't it? Please entertain me. He met her so with a twisted expression. His smile was a smile that would spring forth fear from the very root of the soul in the beholder's heart. Already, two of his subordinates were let loose. There was no escape for the prey. In front of the escaping men, two devils are blocking their way. They suddenly appeared in front of them using spatial transportation, abandoning their friends. Impatient men who immediately chose to escape had already disappeared. Remembering the symbol of fear which was Hinata, they desperately held onto the thin margin of their mind. The situation will not change for the better. However, the pride in working for the church has allowed Blood Shadow to regain his confidence. Instantly, he was able to deduce the identity of the devil. It was a greater devil. It's a dangerous foe, however. There is three of us. He can win against one-on-one. One in a one versus one situation. There's no way they could lose in a 3 versus 2. So he summoned a difficult one. However, he's not giving chase himself. Perhaps he's physically exhausted. Yes, that's true. Rampaging to that degree is bound to consume magical energy. That's what I heard. While they were conversing with one another, the greater devil took up a defensive posture. The greater devil showed no sign of moving, the reason being that they are ordered only to act in a certain area. The beautiful devil calmly walking up from behind is one of them. Kufufufu. Has this chase scene ended? Well then, please allow me to capture them. If they were to resist, please do whatever you want. However, no killing, please. Since we don't want to end their suffering, do pay attention. With a twisted smile, the beauty whose gender is indeterminable had spoken. Seeing this spectacle, his legs gave way, resulting in incontinence. With no strength left to complain, he didn't even have the slightest intention to resist. Shuddering in an instant, his spirit had broken. Weird spilling noises. See and note, this actually translated to something, but it's actually just gibberish in the end. No words formed due to their head dread. These three men are notorious murderers who handle the dirty work of the church. They're men whose skills in fighting against monsters are top-notch. The three men instantly recognized something the moment they witnessed this. Rather, the fact that they were still alive to bear witness to the death of many others was worthy of praise. The greater devil is only one of many substitutes working. The devil before their eyes is in a different league of its own. The existence can be called as such archdemon, a resident in the spirit world, as well as to the physical world where humans reside. It is an existence above devils. It is a spirit being and moved by the forces of this world unless reincarnated. Essentially, they are on the same level as spirits. When summoned with magical energy, all it could do is obtain a temporary physical body and function for a short duration. However, there are also those who gain a physical body in the physical world. One of the oldest demon lords is an example of such. The demon lord was certain that there are remnants of recollections of formerly being an archdemon. Archdemon Demons are the pinnacle of authoritarian figures of the demon kind, unofficially confirmed and only existing in a few records. They are half-legendary monsters. Their strength, A+, is said to be equivalent to pre-demon lord class, and their powers remained as demon lords as lords of legends. A single devil who destroys untold numbers of towns. In both name and reality, it is said to be the strongest of the demon lords. Such a being with the caliber of a demon lord, and the archdemon is right in front of his very eyes. Naturally, he hasn't heard of this. However, the miasma enveloping his body isn't something easily dissipated. There is no that an archdemon has appeared. There's no means of victory. Far from that, it is impossible to escape. Even a disaster class monster can be competed with because it's a disaster class monster itself. ED, I really have no idea what this means. Against this kind of monster, Even 100 greater devils is a far better opponent. The men lost all hope and collapsed on the spot, looking at their state constantly. The demon had a deeply distorted smile on its face. The demon captured the three people and had its subordinates bring them back to town. One of them was appointed to lock up the men who were caught. Asterisk. Right in front of Benimaru's eyes, Rimur's body has undergone irregular and strange changes away from his slime form. It soon calmed down, returning to its original streamline shape. However, this time it was suspicious, blinking colors like red, blue, yellow, green, and purple. There was also a variety of black and white. And like this, some time had passed. At this point, their sense of time had already become lost. People had begun to worry how long had passed. Warning, the individual Rimuru Tempest's Demon Lord evolution has been completed. Moving on, the blessing of all affiliated monsters shall commence. The voice of the world echoed. Suddenly a wave of drowsiness struck. It would seem that the Rimuru's evolution was a success, thought Benimaru. Next is their turn, but they never thought that they would possibly feel sleepy. Thus they fall asleep unable to resist the urge. However, he made a promise with Rimuru. He couldn't possibly afford to fall asleep himself. At that time, Rimuru's body emitted dazzling rays of light. When the light settled, it revealed a gorgeous being with long, lustrous silver hair. Removing its familiar mask, it was Rimuru, with silver hair flowing over its cheeks. It was a display of heavenly beauty. It's tragic that this being has no gender. The end. Benimaru, ruining the moment. Warning, leave the rest to me. Please go to sleep. A voice resonated softly within his head. The voice gave Benimaru a deep sense of security. Benimaru, guided by the voice, was led to an irresistible slumber. At the moment he was notified, Benimaru had a long, hard look around to make sure no one else was up. Only Milan was awake, looking around, taking in the unbelievable scene. With the exception of Yomo, all the other humans had already taken refuge in the emergency shelters in order to escape the high concentration of magical energy. Therefore, the only person who still awake here is Milan. The person with the appearance of Rimuru confirms this fact. With expressionless eyes, slowly it began opening its arms. Long hair flowed towards its back, and angelic wings sprouted, basking the surroundings with dazzling light. Warning, the Wisdom Lord Raphael has commanded. The gluttonous king Beelzebub shall devour all magical energy within the barrier. By his command, the gluttonous king began. A brutal amount of power was released. However, this time there was a reason for the activation of this ability. This can be traced to the results of the Wisdom Lord had calculated. Within the city of Tempest, all the magical energy was absorbed, rendering it into a void space. After the barrier covering the town had been devoured cleanly, the ability of the gluttonous king was halted. It's as if there was nothing at all. The being with Primrose appearance was the agent Raphael of the unconscious master. Raphael walks up to Sean where she originally laid, his hand hovering over the area the analysis had begun. Carefully, in order to fulfill the Lord's desire, Mulan watched the figure with astonishment. Being within the barrier, there was the threat they would be devoured in an instant, but even then it's unlikely. With the master in the state of unconsciousness, the ability to autonomous action. If the command was issued beforehand, that would have been understandable, but such was not the case this time. Above all, the presence of this divine figure was simply too different from Rimru's. Rather, it was closer to that of a spirit than a monster. It was such a stupid matter, yet she felt this is no laughing matter. However, Mulan simply watched on without interfering. Asterisk. In response to Benimaru's request, Yomo was waiting at the exit of the city. Next to him, the Devil Lucius, with the escaping King of Farmers and the Blood Shadow captured. They had been asked to keep an eye on them to make sure they don't escape. But since there's a barrier, there is no entering nor exiting. So even if Lucius were to be within the city, Ranga is still outside. The king is confirmed to be in custody, tied up by the subordinates, and then transported into the building. The end note, in case you don't understand why Lucius was outside earlier, but inside the town now, it's because he received the package known as Blood Shadow and the King of Farmers, and is now supervising them within a structure in the town. Due to the thick concentration of magical energy, conditions outside the house are bad. However, due to the various reasons, it's still too early to kill him. He had heard that there are three escapists that are currently being pursued by the demon Rimuru summoned, and so Ranga went to sleep with that information in mind. It seemed that he originally intended to wait for it, but in order to receive the gift, sleeping was unnecessary. It also seems that he was lured into an irresistible deep sleep while watching him, but to actually become a demon lord, I thought it was just a legend. Lucius muttered this while releasing a sigh of admiration. The concentration of magical energy is terrible, but with Yomo just outside of the town, it's still possible to converse with him. In regards to such a matter, Yomo heard nothing, not even a rumor. Even he who was familiar with backdoors, silly events he had no knowledge about, such as the evolution of a demon lord. Rimuru Dana, a demon lord, he looked back emotionally. But I have the feeling that even if Dana becomes a demon lord, nothing will change. It was deep in thought without uttering a word. Bruce nodded with a laugh. That's for certain. The two said and hoped that no change will occur in Rimuru. To think that the other was thinking the exact thing, the pair were pleased. Great minds really do think alike. Sean, I hope she resurrects. There's probably nothing to be worried about. Do you know that monsters, unlike humans, are very stubborn creatures? Saying these, Bruce laughed. This was a carefree idea to have, and Grisha seemed so. Hey, you. So which demon lord did you serve? Can you tell me? He asked, regarding something that bothered him. Oh, you noticed? Everyone ignored this topic. At first, I was troubled about how it was ridiculously easy to deceive you, love. But actually, then, under the command of the demon lord Carrion, I was ordered to act as I see fit. Thus, until the demon lord has issued his next command, he has decided to work under Yomo as his subordinate. Yomo nodded, glad to help you, and I'll be relying on you. And they firmly shook hands with each other, Rufus and Mulan. From here on after, the pair will be supporting Yomo. The duo had a chat. Oh yeah, are you here to deliver something? A voice sounded out. What he saw was a beautiful demon in Yomo's eyes, the greater devil, displayed dignity. However, what Lucius saw was different. All the hairs on his body stood up on end as he felt the magical energy of the opponent. Oi, oi, this is the first time I've met you. Are you an archdemon? What are you doing here? Lucius is still a young devil. He has no experience in conversing with a demon lord as a partner. He didn't even know about kneeling. He's lacking in information about the world. That's why this was actually the first time he had met an archdemon, yet the danger can be fought with it a single glance. Fufufu. There's no need to be on edge. I am but a nameless demon summoned by Rimaru-sama. Those two left behind over there are but a part of my chores. For Rimaru-sama, I solely wish to show him my usefulness. What came out was a lovely and friendly voice, but when he looked over, the two men who gazed at the greater devil had fainted. No magic was detected in this. It's very likely he had the compatibilities of a magic. This is an archdemon. This is no joke. That's what he thought, but he said nothing. Resistance is futile. So, while Lucius was on edge, Yomo had trusted the man. The king of Pharmas was taken by his subordinates. While they were having such a conversation, the barrier suddenly dissipated. It seems something has happened. Grucius and Yomo looked at each other and started sprinting towards the town square. The demon didn't run, but calmly used spatial movement. With an understanding of spatial transfer, this was something trivial. With his spatial transfer, he was the first to find Rimuru and approached. With gorgeous flowing silver hair, it looked as if it was performing some sort of ritual for the deceased monster. Beautiful, he obediently embraced this impression. He wanted to witness the scene with rapture, but he couldn't do so any longer. He silently approached to avoid causing disturbance and kneeled. I have returned, my master, he called out whilst paying close attention to make sure he doesn't disturb the master. We should have probably waited until the end of the ceremony. He was worried. Pardon me for my rudeness, however, it may appear that there isn't enough energy. What the demon is witnessing is the ceremony most likely called Arcane Soul Recall. Before resurrecting the dead, the Arcane attempts to recreate a perfect replication of the soul. If it fails, the person may become someone completely different or even a monster. Based on wisdom that humans will never understand, this arcane magic was devised. Of course, in order to actually use it, a large amount of energy would actually be needed, and the amount of energy needed to control it was unimaginable. Even high-class devils will usually fail to control it. Therefore, only the most skilled with soul manipulation within the demon clan would see this through. Yes, the insufficiency of energy for the purpose of completely revival was confirmed. Thus, a certain amount of life force will be consumed as substitute. These words have caused the demon to panic. Please wait a moment, Rimura-sama. To use your own life force was as a substitute. That's it. There's a better idea. Please use this once instead. Having find joy in this idea, the demon had proposed such a thing to Rimuru. The greater devils walked up from behind and knelt in front of him. For me, there is no greater joy than to be of assistance to you, Datta. Rimuru, no, Raphael, observed the demon with two shining red eyes. No emotions reflect in these beautiful eyes. Understood. The amount of energy is confirmed to be sufficient in covering up the remaining portion. Then he was devoured by the gluttonous king Beelzebub without resistance. The moment he was devoured, the greater devil dissimulated. Then he was converted to pure energy. He was useful to his lord. His wish fulfilled. The energy was shining with a joyous color. See and note, the ones devoured are his subordinates, not the archdemon himself. Oh, I'm envious of you lot. However, as expected, my lord, as compared to when I saw you earlier, you have underwent growth. He looked at the evolution of the Lord with aspiring eyes. To be reborn as a demon lord, to serve a beautiful master, that was the wish of the demon. He and comment, it is unfortunate, but it has no gender. Benimaru. To that end, it could be said he has proven useful. He would do anything within his power to prove his worth. The required amount of energy has been confirmed now. Confirmed. Now the Arcan Soul recall shall commence, confirming that the amount of energy is sufficient. The demon was still. Unless it was his turn, he fears that should he intervene, it would only bring about failure. Right before the eyes of the demon, the Arcan Soul recall has successfully completed. A transparent, beautiful ball of light covered in a smooth, pink purple film. This was the soul acting as the core, and the astral body forming the outer defense. The moved on, and Sean's soul returned to her body. The success rates are lower than 3.14%. However, this probability was calculated prior to the evolution to a demon lord. Sean's soul, thanks to the blessing, has retained all her memories. Prima's wish has taken form, and this blessing was bestowed. In addition to retaining all her memories, there's an extra skill, complete memory. It is an ability that will allow the soul to return safely from the dead for an unlimited amount of times. Edie, he is serious. With her soul and body establishing a connection once more, Sean's core had begun beating once more, and the dead has been revived. No, it was a miracle that happened precisely right when the soul was about to disappear. Primrose and everyone else's prayers were not in vain. Raphael did not show any signs of joy in response to this success. This was a result obtained through calculations and probabilities, just that. It didn't think of this. It didn't think of this as sadness, nor can it understand anything else. Even so, in the depths of this emotionless mind is an ego tucked in the corner, doubting his own existence. A small glimmer of a thought was suddenly born, unbeknownst to the wisdom Lord Raphael. I think, therefore I am. T and note, look up the Scartus. ED, people don't think that the universe be like it is, that it do, Black Science Man. This will become a proposition for the wisdom Lord Raphael in the future. When Sean, the one who took the most damage, successfully revived, the remaining 100 people also began to revive. Their souls began to restore, and energy-filled astral bodies appeared once more. Following the flow of work, Arcane Soul Recall and method to resuscitate the deceased activated, and it ended with success. The miracle unknown to those within the city of monsters was secretly granted by him. Only two monsters know about it. About this, Yolan and the demon. Yolan gazed at the scene without making a sound, as she was completely mesmerized by the ritual. She is someone who pursues the ultimate arcane magic and was clearly charmed by this. Regarding an unbelievable high-level arcane magic, she had managed to witness a glimpse of it from the vessel of the demon lord, Rimuru. They themselves aren't on the level of a devil. Even claiming was dissatisfying. Then she sworn that she was lucky and thankful to have gained recognition. She had decided to lead Yomo to that Rimuru will never so that Rimuru will never treat him as an enemy, thus the oath will become something to protect at all cost. Without uttering a word, the demon dreamily looked at Rimuru and began considering, now I'm having a conversation with myself and not Rimuru. That's what I thought. A skill gaining his own ego, that's something unheard of. In order to fulfill the wish of its master, a skill acting of its own accords, that is something unprecedented, ridiculous. Such a thing couldn't possibly happen. Seemingly, that possibility was discarded. Then such a thing, please give it to your subordinates by all means. Thus, a new determination was rekindled. After a while, the footsteps of two individuals could be heard. Rimuru Raphael had completed his objective and returned to a deep slumber. The panicking Yomo rushed over when he noticed Sean breathing like someone asleep. Oi, Sean, San, and the rest have they been successfully revived? Regarding this question, Yulan was troubled for a moment. Yes, according to the sharing of gifts during the evolution, they seem to be successfully revived. Now, if only their memories are intact, then we're all good. And then they'll be all right, right? She muttered something that Yomo couldn't hear. In doing so, the town folks began waking up one after the other. The concentration of magical power has been tamed, and they all panicked when they realized the barrier was gone. But it all boils down to joy when they realized Sean has resurrected. The city named Tempest was in a festive mood, and they were all wrapped up in joy. Those who know that the resurrection was brought about not by a miracle, but through an ability, Raphael numbered only two. And in the shadows, the ego of the skilled wisdom lord Raphael has routed was an event no one knew about. End of chapter 71.